All right, so I had this dream last night. Well, this morning, because I've been waking up randomly at like 6 a.m. and I don't know if that's like a demonic thing or anything I need to worry about, but maybe something's after me. I don't know. All right.
No, I think it's 3 a.m. That's the witching hour.
Hey, I mean, the fact that it's the same time all the time is um my mom's here and watched it the other night. So hey, love you too, mom.
Love you too.
So I keep waking up and I'm like, just go back to sleep. Try to go back to sleep. Eventually it happens. And I had this super dope dream where I got up and I was like, I got to go see Lance. And I just got on a plane and flew to Lance. Nala was taken care of here at the house. And me and Lance didn't do anything cool. We just hung out. And I was like, dope. I should probably get back to Nala. And got on another plane. Went back here. Nala was at my buddy Scan's place. And so I went over to that place. And guess who was also there?
Huh.
Thor, my parents' dog. Which is just a coincidence to this movie. So I was just hanging out with them and like people kept coming over and like there were other dogs around. This one dog ran in just like on his hind legs and he was just walking around. And I was like, wow, that's weird, but that's super cool. Good for that dog. And then I was like, all right, I should probably go home. So I grabbed the two dogs, walk home. It's not a far walk. I get home and then all of a sudden there's like this like crazy siren and news thing that New York City is being attacked by these kind of like host forming aliens. So I'm like, I guess I should probably suit up. And so I go to the water and there's this like giant kind of like bluish being coming out of it. Guess what I show up in?
What?
A fucking mech suit.
Hell yeah.
So I'm just like, fucking this dude up and like all these crazy beasts are coming down and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta reload. And I get it reloaded. I kill like 30 of them and then I'm flying around just like beating them all to the ground. It's crazy. And then I'm like, all right, this is over. Guess what, Jeff?
What?
It wasn't over.
I don't know.
It wasn't over. All right. So then all of a sudden this like giant kind of like very similar to in the Avengers kind of beast comes down and I'm like, guess I should probably do with this. And I shoot this giant rocket directly into its mouth. Blows it right up. It just smashes into the street. Everyone's like, wow, he is so cool. Oh my God, I should get one of those. And then I wake up and I was like, feels good to wake up like a champion. So then I was like, I guess I should start my day. And then I started my day. And my day was okay, but it wasn't that cool.
The only thing I would have made it cooler was at the beginning when you said I got on the plane. I don't know why I thought you were going to say Nala was flying the plane.
Oh, well, I guess on that note, are you ready to get this started?
Let's do this.
All right, let's go. What up? What up? What up? What up? Welcome to the BFC'S. So this is a show where we talk about the MCU in chronological order, because for a while we were pretty deprived of Marvel stuff. We're very excited to be here. Jeff, what are you drinking, and what's the last movie you saw?
Right now I am drinking a Voodoo Ranger, one of their IPAs. I don't know. I got an IPA pack, so it's like a variety of their different New Belgium's different IPAs. I like them all. All IPAs kind of taste the same to me. I don't know. I know they don't, but to me they do. Really bitter. That's how you describe an IPA.
Wait, is that how you feel about IPAs, or is that the taste?
No, that's the taste. I'm not bitter about them. Okay. I very much enjoy them.
Just wanted to check. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I love IPAs. So, last movie I watched. So I did watch Nobody, the Bob Odenkirk movie.
Yeah.
It's good. I really liked it.
I'm excited to see it.
It's like a slightly funnier John Wick.
Okay. All right.
That's about the best way to describe it. It has some really cool cameos in it that I didn't expect, that the trailers didn't spoil for me. So that was cool. Yeah, really, really enjoyed that. Not a movie, but a television show that I watched that was fucking amazing was Mystic Quest.
Oh, I've been really wanting to watch it, but I just
Relegation.
haven't I haven't signed up for Apple Plus.
It's fucking worth just signing up for. I trashed Apple Plus like 2 weeks ago, and yeah, that show is so fucking good. Like the first 2 episodes, you're kind of like, oh, this just kind of feels like Community, like another show like Community. Like that's
Okay.
kind of how it feels. And then it just gets super funny. And then randomly halfway through the season, they have kind of an offhand episode that's about different characters, and it gets so dark.
Ooh, okay.
Like super dark. Like deals with
Great.
like really real human shit. And then has like spread throughout of it like really like dark human moments. And you got to really see like Rob McElhenney's like acting range in the show.
Very cool.
Like, I know he's flexed that serious range on Always Sunny, especially lately. But yeah, it's so good. Such a great cast. Would 100% recommend you like watch it as soon as possible. Like Tina and I literally binged the whole series in one night. And then season 2 I think's out May 7th. So, and I fucking cannot wait to watch it.
Dope.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I've been really wanting to. Like it's hits all of my like buttons.
Yeah.
But I just haven't. I don't want to download another streaming service.
Yeah.
But I guess
just
I have
love
to.
that. I mean, it's him and Charlie Day are the creators of the show.
Yeah.
And writers. Like, come on. Like, right there. Like, it's way different than Always Sunny. Nothing like Always Sunny. So it just shows their range as writers, too. Because they're not even doing the same types of jokes.
Also, like, there are, like, what, 30 different movies that Tom Hanks has done that are on Apple Plus?
Yeah. Yeah, that too. And you can't go wrong with well, sometimes you can go wrong with the Tom Hanks movie, but not most of the time. Most of the time. I wouldn't say he's bad enough. He's bad in like a 500. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then of course the movie we're about to talk about. So, CJ, what are you drinking? What was the last movie you saw?
Well, so as you know, we're going to be producing a cooking show coming up soon within the Blanket Fort.
Yep.
So I went out with the host of it, and we were looking for a beer from New Zealand, and we didn't find any specifically from New Zealand, but we did find a lot with New Zealand hops, which we tried a bunch that day. They were all very high in alcohol content. It was very early in the day, so I didn't finish my last one. I drank like a quarter of it. But at the last place that we went and checked out, it was called the Beer Boutique in Williamsburg in Brooklyn, New York. And I found a German Pilsner called Funhouse, spelled the same way as one of our favorite YouTube channels, Funhouse.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I'm drinking that tonight. The place was kind of cool. They have a whole bottling system because this was directly from draft. And if you don't open it, it's good for like 60 days.
Okay.
So kind of cool. The beer, okay. But I don't know. It's a cool name, so I'll accept it. And I like to support like local, smaller places. And this felt very mom and pop hanging out.
So I wonder if it was like, so then it's obviously German if it's spelled house, like Haus.
Correct.
What type did you say it was?
Pilsner.
Oh, it's a Pilsner. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all right. I have that and a soda water. Soda water's nothing special, but it's water, so hydration is key.
Yep.
Yeah. The last movie I saw was, I'm about to butcher this title, but it's An Evening with Beverly Luff or something like that. It has Aubrey Plaza, Craig Robinson, the dude from Flight of the Conchords.
Oh yeah.
Um, I expected a straight dark comedy.
Yeah. Especially like Craig, all three of those people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm trying to remember. The other dude is in the series of What We Do in the Shadows. He's like the larger
Yeah.
main vampire.
Yeah.
British actor, really good. I like him a lot. But it was way darker than I expected.
Like off-putting dark, like where you're like, like dread.
Like, oh man, these people are not good people.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, I can't even remember who played Aubrey Plaza's husband, but like there was a lot of huge names in this, and this was a big indie movie.
Okay.
But man, I was not ready for that, so
Yeah.
I don't know if I liked it or not. But I just kind of was like, okay, well, that's a movie I watched.
I think I kind of get the similar feeling like when I watch like a very like a lot of modern horror movies that are very like
Very meta.
psychological, meta, like where you're like you can recognize at the end that like it was a good film, but I don't know if I liked it just because it was just so dark and fucked up.
Kind of like Hereditary.
Hereditary, I was thinking of.
What's that Korean one that won a bunch of awards?
Oh, Parasite.
Parasite, kind of in that vein. Similar to
Yeah,
that, but it was like it was still comedic, but it was like
yeah,
the driest comedy
yeah.
I've ever seen. Like I don't know how else to like explain it. It was so dry. Oh, Ryan, as a filmmaker, you would really like Parasite. It's
Oh,
extremely well shot. The fucking
yeah. I was just gonna say
soundtrack's incredible.
this just if you watch if you watch the movie on mute, the cinematography in every shot in that film is so well done. Like it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
Like, and that's the point. That's how fucking meta that movie is. Like even the shots in Parasite are done better when they're in the really nice house compared to in the slums where they
yes.
live in.
Hmm.
And they do that on purpose. They make everything look so gorgeous and so perfectly shot. Yeah, it's a genius film. It's great.
Yeah, I wish I would have watched it without the world blowing up about how great it was, because I think that kind of like
Yeah.
made the decision up in my mind. So like by the time that it was over, I was just like, I don't know, it was okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the watch it. I would love to talk to you about it. It's cool.
I do real quick want to mention we did get the first trailer for Shang-Chi.
Oh,
Shang-Chi. I've heard it pronounced both ways. Please, if somebody knows, let me know. But yeah, holy shit. And
dude.
there's another reason why it got me really excited because it takes place in San Francisco. And so right now we have Ant-Man, Wasp, and Shang-Chi in there. We're getting the fucking West Coast Avengers. They're gonna do a fucking West Coast Avengers movie, and I fucking know it.
And then they'll bring in Venom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm
There's no way Venom's ever gonna cross over with the MCU.
no.
Like he's technically exists in it, but
Yeah.
no.
No. I'm very excited about that. Mortal Kombat comes out this week, so I'm also super stoked about that.
Yes.
Well, I guess we should talk about what we came here to talk about tonight. And Jeff, will
Yes.
you introduce our movie and the synopsis this evening?
Yes. So this week we are talking about Thor: The Dark World. So the second Thor movie made in 2013, directed by Alan Taylor. So Alan Taylor, real quick, I want to get on. Not a big movie director. He had some weird indie film called Paula Lucaville. And then lately he's directed that horrible Terminator Genesis film.
Oh,
But as a director of television series, name an HBO series, he's directed multiple episodes in it. I mean, I'm talking from The Sopranos to Game of Thrones to Carnival, like Rome, like everything. Like he directs a lot of big budget HBO, AMC, like all the really big television series. He's been a director of. So yeah, 2013. This is the second film to kick off the phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
mm-hmm.
It comes in about 2 years after the original events of the first Thor. Picks up with a story of these dark elves led by Malachi and the Children of the Corn. every time they said Malekith, I was like, Malachi? Like from Children of the Corn? Oh, that's weird. Basically, we find out that Malekith and the Dark Elves used to rule the Nine Realms, and then Odin's dad, Thor's grandfather, banished them, took the ether, which we later come to realize that is the reality stone. Takes the ether from them because that's how they were kind of reigning over everybody. Banishes them. They go into like basically like a deep sleep somewhere or something. And then he hides it away. There's this big event though happening that's like I can't remember what they call it, but it's an alignment of the whole Nine Realms.
The convergence. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, of the Nine Realms, and happens every like couple thousand years or whatever. And
just a casual couple thousand, you know.
Yeah, whatever. And so it's starting to affect Earth. So we bring in Jane Foster. At this point, our character Eric, which we saw in Thor, and then was being mind controlled by Loki during the events of the Avengers, has kind of lost it a little bit. He's a little fucked up from when Loki got into his brain. But he knows that this event's happening. But at this point, he just sounds like a crazy bat, ends up getting locked up because he was running around naked around Stonehenge.
As you do. Like, you never done that at Stonehenge?
That's actually one of my goals, is run around naked around Stonehenge. So
wow, you've never lived.
Yeah, I feel like it has minimalistic security around there. I don't know why. Probably doesn't, but I feel like there's just like maybe one guy there that's just like, oh, whatever, just don't push him over.
Just don't touch the rocks, man. Or like, oh, I know, I don't touch the rocks, man.
I mean, I lived in Nebraska for the first half of my life, and I never went to Carhenge, which is
I've been to Carhenge.
I've never been to Carhenge.
I actually, so I thought Ryan, one of our dudes, like one of our Blanket Fort members, his wedding was on a different date. And then I found out it was a week earlier. So I drove out there, stayed in my van. And then I was like, I guess I should drive back. And I slept in my van somewhere, woke up, drove over to Carhenge. And at the same time, like there were tornado warnings and stuff around. And they were like, hey, are you okay, man? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'll be okay. Took a bunch of pictures, got back on the road. Probably should have just like stayed with one of those guys. But, you know, I was too worried about getting like murdered. They were all very nice. But like, yeah, you never know.
Yeah. That's funny. I really hope there's like, there's no information about who built Carhenge. Like it's like the same way as Stonehenge. Like I think we know now that like, or we theorize that the Druids built it, but like, I don't know.
There's definitely information there, and it tells you all about it.
Yeah. But you know, anything that's old, who really knows?
Who really knows? You know?
Who really knows? You know, it's just written in books, whatever.
Yeah. And those aren't even read anymore.
Yeah, no one reads that. If it's not on Wikipedia, you don't know. So yeah, basically the convergence is happening, and it's causing all these like reality rifts between the Nine Realms. Jane Foster ends up falling into another realm, and while she's there, she ends up finding the ether by accident. The ether goes into her, basically, which awakens Malekith from his sleep because she enters back onto Earth, and then he's like, I know where it is. So he's going after it, and Thor is there to stop him, hopefully, and at the same time try and get the ether out of
Jane
Jane
Foster.
Foster. Yeah.
Well, he only shows
wanna-
up because of the fact that Heimdall can't see Jane Foster.
Yeah. Heimdall can't see her because of whatever realm that she goes into, that they can't detect anything going on there. That's probably why they put the ether there, because even Odin didn't know that the ether was still around. He thought it was destroyed. So I do really like one thing that during the convergence, they're like, hey, it's going to happen in Greenwich. And that makes sense because on Earth is where Greenwich Mean Time is. That is the beginning of time. That is a 24-hour clock that we base everything on, because the Prime Meridian runs right through Greenwich, England.
That is a nice fun fact. All right, that's cool.
When they said Greenwich, England, I was like, that makes sense. That's probably, I don't know how science works, but I know how GMT does. So
I was like, Greenwich.
Greenwich, no, Greenwich. Greenwich. So, yeah, that's that. I mean, that basically sums it up. Loki is turned over to Odin. Odin ends up saying, "Hey, I'm gonna lock you away forever and ever in the basement, where he locks up all of criminals that have done wrong in the Nine Realms."
It puts the lotion on its skin.
Yeah. So yeah, this is Thor: The Dark World. What did you think of this, CJ?
Okay, so if you watched the previous episode, we were both dreading watching this movie.
Yeah, we were.
I was not looking forward to it, and I tried to just like casually watch it this past week, and I was like, I can't casually watch it. I have to like involve myself in it. I've got to take notes. I've got to be here for it. And I was very surprised with my final thought on the movie. So although I still think it's bad, I think it's bad for different reasons other than the reasons that I originally thought.
Okay.
Which we'll definitely get into those. Like towards the end, I want to talk about the victories and faults of this movie. Or we can just let me hear what you think about it. And then we'll go from there, and we'll go through like, I don't know, character, plot, whatever. Fuck it.
Okay. I was pleasantly surprised how much more I liked this than I thought I was going to.
Agreed.
This is one of the few Marvel movies that I've seen once before. I think this one and Doctor Strange are the only two Marvel movies I've only seen once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I technically saw Ant-Man and the Wasp twice, but the first time I saw it, I had to watch it again because the first time I saw it, I don't know why, but I got super hammered before, and then I went to the theater, and then I watched it and didn't remember anything. I was so drunk. I was just like, I was fine. I was just quiet watching the movie, but I was so drunk, I didn't remember any of it. So I had to watch it the second time, but yeah, just this and Doctor Strange are the only two Marvel movies that I've only seen once. So a lot of things that when I was watching it, I was like, I don't remember this. And then certain things I was like, okay, I remember this a little bit, but it was a pleasant surprise. I will say right now, I 100% like this more than I liked Iron Man 3 from last week. So I definitely like this more than Iron Man 3.
Okay. We'll talk about that because I don't know yet how I feel about that, because for a while on Netflix, there were very few Marvel movies before Disney Plus, and this is one that was always there. And so like it'd be one that I'd just be like, end of my night, I'm just like, I guess we'll watch The Dark World again. I put it on, 10 minutes in, I'm out. So I remember most of this movie, just from different times watching it and stuff. But This one. Let's start off. Let's talk about the cast. There's not really anyone new to talk about.
No, because honestly, I don't even know who the fuck played Malekith.
Malekith was played by Christopher Eccleston, who I will tell you. I'll tell you in a second where he's been from. You'll know who he is. He's in 28 Days Later.
Days
He
Later.
plays Major
Yeah.
Henry
Oh.
West. Yeah.
Oh, I actually really like him.
I do too, and I thought he did a fine job. Like I have no complaints with his performance. But for the most part, the cast of this is all returning.
And he was also he's done a lot of movies with Danny Boyle, but he was also the bad guy in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a recasting in this movie, which was Zachary Levi playing Fandral.
Yeah, which we kind of hit that on during Thor. We talked about that.
Talked about that, and I not a huge fan of the recasting because I really like the classic form of the original dude. Not that I have any problem with Zachary Levi, but I just really thought
he's a great Shazam.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's very good in that like wow kind of like role, and this was he's surrounded by classically trained vocal and movement actors, and for me it stuck out. I don't know if it did for anyone else, but for me I was like, okay,
yeah,
all right. And also I thought his like whole hair getup was terribly done.
Yeah, and I think one, yes, his hair, and then two, I know what Zachary Levi says, so it's very like to see him like blonde, long hair and like facial hair, and it's very like off-putting. Like it was just very
also
strange.
Eyebrows that were a completely different color.
Yes. Yeah.
So like I wasn't a fan of that, but I mean this cast still has a lot of the heavy hitting names from the last one. I mean Tom Hiddleston, though I don't think his performance was near as good as the first one. No. Jamie Alexander as Sif, I thought she's always fantastic, and she got a lot more combat in this one that was more of just
Sif.
like her, more fucking Sif, which could be happening in the future.
Yes, please, MCU, Marvel, Kevin Feige, put fucking Lady Sif in more shit, please, 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 please.
Ray Stevenson, which I always am shocked when I see him because I'm like, that's Ray Stevenson. Because he plays this just like chubby dwarf dude.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not at all who he is. And he wears it really well.
Yeah.
Like his facial hair stuff, it all looks really good on him. And I mean, the list goes on. Like Tadambu Asano playing Hogan. Like I want to get into my favorite performance of this.
Okay.
And I went with an actor for this one. And I wish I had 1,000 times more of this, but I could only have this tiny little bit.
Okay.
And it's fucking Rene Russo. Is that you?
Yeah. Yes.
Yo, but can you tell me what moment solidified that for you?
For me, I like two moments. One was the first interaction where she's talking to Thor and then Jane Foster comes up. That was fucking fantastic. And then finally getting to see her be a fucking badass and fuck Malekith up was really dope. But I anytime she's playing mom, like to a god, is the fucking coolest fucking thing to me. Like,
Dude, I can agree with one of those moments, but my first moment that like solidified for me, which is my favorite line in the entire movie. It's the best line that's delivered, though I don't think it's the best line received by the other party in that scene, and that is, "Then am I not your mother?"
Oh. Yes.
That moment, that whole scene, she is killing it. And Tom Hiddleston's great, but in this scene, in comparison to the previous two movies that we have seen him in, his performance was not at the same level.
I would love to, during the Loki show, because we know we kind of picked up that he's going to be crossing universes
Yeah.
in parallel, dimensions or whatever. I would love to see him get another scene with her in an alternate, because I feel like there's that she is the heart of Loki and she knows how to bring what's left of him out. Thor can kind of balance that, and Odin just pisses him off to all fucking. And we have to remember the mindset of this Loki. He hasn't come full circle like the other reality Loki does.
Right.
That I would love to see him sort of make amends with himself and everything. And I feel like she would be the one to like bring that out in him.
Oh, I 100% agree. Like,
yeah.
And I definitely agree with her fight scene. From the moment that she like meets Odin and she's just like, well, you're wondering why you're still alive. Yeah. Like to where she grabs Jane Foster and she's like, come with me and don't ask any questions.
Yep.
That whole moment.
I said it last time. I said, I need more Renee Russo.
Dude,
for the first movie, like.
Her dying and having Thor show up. Well, I like the whole timing of that. And I've got a whole thing with timing on this entire movie. Thor shows up and then immediately after Odin shows up. Like, that's pretty conveniently terrible. Cool. But that moment still crushed me.
Yeah. Like, Frigga's funeral is the best, visually the best scene in the entire fucking movie.
It is
so good.
I will take that one step further. It is the most beautiful scene in the entire MCU. That whole scene.
I'd put it up there. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's incredibly done. And if I ever I think in Minnesota is like the only place that has legalized Viking funerals. If that ever becomes legalized in Tennessee, worst case scenario, yes, we agree. We don't have to say it, but we all agree. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all agree.
It's so good. It's so beautifully done. But it does bring into other points with this movie is a lot of stuff in this movie felt very rushed. And from her death to her funeral to back dealing with everything, it just felt like bam, bam, bam. Like I was like, hey, I'm still trying to mourn what Thor's trying to mourn here. And it's just like, it just felt like it happened and then it was done. And I was just like, whoa, no, that was I actually got choked up during that scene. Like I was like, this is fucking super sad and really beautiful.
I understand your feelings, but also you got to think about the fact that that's how Odin feels exactly.
Yeah.
Odin doesn't have a chance to like mourn. Nala, what do you want to do? Do you want to say hi? No, she doesn't want to say hi. She wants to run around some more. But that is exactly what Odin has to do.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a moment where he can sit and mourn. He's trying to figure out the best thing for the Nine Realms. And that's why he has that scene with Thor where Thor's like, no, you're not thinking straight at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that scene happened rather quickly, but I feel like that could have been a choice, or if it wasn't a choice, I mean,
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this guy directed multiple episodes of Game of Thrones. He knows how to deal with death.
Yes. Yeah.
He knows death.
He knows.
Oh, yeah. So Tina brought up when we were watching it, bad dude with sick braids. So Malekith's hair. Who braids his hair so well? Those are amazing fucking braids. But I was just like, I cannot picture Malekith just sitting there while someone's just braiding his hair.
Okay, first of all, I had the same moment where I was like, man, I wish I could braid my hair really well at all or do anything. But the Dark Elves have fantastic hair. All right.
Oh yeah.
They got creepy masks and fantastic hair.
The masks are so good. Like, yeah, everything about like the visually, I will say everything about the Dark Elves was really cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I think probably Malekith's like sleep machine that probably braids his own hair. It might like
Yeah,
probably is what
while
happened.
he's in it, it just braids it perfectly. Yeah, I'll buy that.
I found the ether. Let's go for it.
It's not even like a healing machine. It's just his sleep apnea machine. He's like, I'm just a big snorer, and I
I
stop
just gotta
breathing
sleep
sometimes.
sometimes, so
I've got sleep apnea, so just got to deal with this. So
um I felt like the visual effects on this movie were done really well.
yeah,
And
agreed.
specifically the transformation when they were, I don't know, crushing a power rock. I don't know what that is. You could probably tell me what it is.
The wait, what?
The red stone where they would crush it in their hands and then they would become all powerful. It's
So
like lava's running through.
everything. So the guy they put that in, is I take it that was supposed to be Algrim the Strong. Which his
Okay.
character is a little bit bigger in the comics. So Malekith ends up betraying him. He like throws him into fucking lava, and then like Algrim like ends up surviving, and then kind of turns on Malekith because of it. Malekith gets beat. He gets banished. He comes back, and there's this I cannot remember her damn name. Queen. I think it's
Latifah?
Alphalis. Queen Latifah takes over and becomes Queen of the Dark Elves,
Okay.
and then like Malekith comes back, and like they've been tied into a lot of stuff. They end up starting this whole thing called like the League of Realms, and it's this whole big, long, convoluted thing, And then they've even crossed over into like the alternate realities, like all
Okay.
the different Earths and stuff like that. So the Dark Elves have kind of been in and out of the Marvel comics for a long time. So
Well, they're, I mean, some of the oldest beings in the universe. So you can only
yeah,
assume that.
yeah, and I mean, they haven't been part of like any huge plot like devices, and I know Lance knows a lot more about this. I wish he could have been on with us. He was supposed to be on with us tonight.
I know. And I
Because
wish he could have as well. But like, it's funny because I still have a lot to talk about and we're already at 40 minutes.
okay, we'll keep it going then.
Yeah. No, I'm just like, I agree with you because I want to know all of the things that he has like to say. But
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but we'll have to hear about it. And maybe I'll just have him put out a rant video or something. I don't know, which will be fun. Like,
Yeah, because I know he's very upset about the comic to
yeah.
movie adaptation. So
With that being said, we're going to take a quick little break. We're going to be right back to talk more about Thor: The Dark World. So grab a drink, go to the bathroom. I don't know, live your own life. Like, whatever. I'll talk to you in a second. Later, Jeff. What up? We are back. Welcome back to Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, it's been fun. What's up, Jeff?
Not much. So I did want to talk about a little bit because we didn't really hit on this during the first Thor movie, but I want to talk about the Marvel or the comic books specifically. So we're gonna get some different adaptations of Thor soon, because there's been a ton of other people who have taken up the mantle as Thor. Some of them are really, really funny though. Some of them are like, oh yeah, I know that and stuff like that. But like currently we know that Jane Foster will be coming in as the mighty Thor. Actually in the comic books right now she plays Valkyrie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's a whole other convoluted thing. Volstagg, who we talked about earlier, one of the what do you call them? The Mighty Three. What are they called?
Mighty Four?
I forget. No, it's Lady Sif and the Mighty Three.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah. He actually wields Stormbreaker now, and has the powers of Thor, but he doesn't go by Thor. Yeah, it's super dope.
Dope.
Yeah. Beta Ray Bill, which will kind of see a statue of him during Ragnarok. So they kind of hit on Beta Ray Bill a little bit. Wade Wilson's been Thor before, so Deadpool has been Thor.
Didn't know that.
One of my favorite ones, Ben Parker, during the Uncle Beniverse.
Okay.
Ben Barker was Thor, Uncle Ben. We've had like some duplicate like demons. Hercules has played Thor at one point. One of my favorites, Dave. He's just an actor. Dave.
Great.
Yeah, he was Thor at one point.
Why do I picture just like Dave Franco just being like, hey guys.
Which I think we'll hit on that during Ragnarok, but I think that's a play with the whole play thing that happens during Ragnarok. I think that's them calling back to those moments in the comics.
Okay, fun.
Yeah. Matt Murdock, so Daredevil, he's been Thor. James Rhodes, so Rhodey's been Thor at one point, which was dope because it was actually War Machine, but then he had the cape and the fucking helmet and everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was super dope. All the Fantastic Four has been Thor. They had a whole run that was called the Fantastic Thors.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was super sweet. Gamora's been Thor. Groot's been Thor. Which was sick because like his tree branches just like grew up to make the helmet.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yeah, it was super sick. Carol Danvers, she was actually the Mighty Thor at one point.
Awesome.
Similar to Jane Foster. We had Android Thor, which we've had two different iterations. I know one was during the Civil War comic book series, because Thor was dead at that time during that one. Luke Cage has played him. Kurt Connors, so Lizard from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So he was like literally the Lizard, but with fucking Thor's shit on.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. J. Jonah Jameson. I don't know how he was worthy.
Wow.
Yeah. Anna Marie, which is Rogue, so from X-Men. She was Thor at one point. And then we also had like the Skrull.
Oh, yeah.
Thor,
okay.
Which was during the Secret Wars or Secret Invasion. So, yeah. It's just kind of cool to look at so many, Steve Rogers did during the alternate universe in 2099. We've had literally tons and tons of different people like take up the mantle of Thor. So I just kind of wanted to mention that.
No, I think that's very interesting because I did not know almost any of that.
Yeah, it's super dope.
So, I do have a question about this movie, and where was S.H.I.E.L.D. at?
I thought about that too, especially like everything happening in Greenwich. Like they sent in 2 fighter jets. And if anything the world has learned, this is maybe 6 months to a year after the events of New York.
Yeah, it's about that, yeah.
You think they would see alien ship and they would be like, fuck, we got to send in everything. Like,
Nope.
No, we're just going to send in 2 fighter jets that instantly get sucked into a fucking wormhole or
just
whatever.
Immediately. Like, this was, I mean, yeah, maybe it was so abrupt, but like, you got several scientists working on this. You have one of your top scientists that went crazy, and you didn't decide, oh, I want to question that dude.
Yeah, like let's keep him around and at least study him. He's had alien god in his head. Like, I feel like S.H.I.E.L.D. would keep him around, at least for like a long debriefing.
Even if he was arrested, you think S.H.I.E.L.D. would have been like, give me that dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like, and I think that was initially the same problems that a lot of us had. We had all just came off the high of the Avengers. And then we rolled into this. And if you're going to do a grounded movie, let's have it more grounded than just, it was big events happening without all the big spectacle. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to pull back.
Right. You can't bring up a massive event that's way bigger than New York.
Yeah.
Way bigger than anything that we've been introduced to.
Not include anybody else in any way, shape, or form.
Just acknowledge it. I mean, okay, so I think one of the biggest things that I learned when watching this was this movie did not know what it wanted to be.
Yeah.
All right.
I can see that.
It was trying to be comedic, but every one-liner joke fell flat. All right.
It
did not have timing for it. And it was getting really dark, but not dark enough. And you really got to play to the extremes. I mean, that's why horror movies have such good, like, comedic one-liners, because you're playing such dire circumstances. And these circumstances were so dire. But were they?
Yeah.
Obviously, in the realm of what's happening, yes, they are. But this movie could have been such a killer, like, thriller.
Yeah.
Of just really making the Dark Elves super dark. And I get why they did want to do that, because they're trying to appeal to such a large audience. Pick a lane.
Yeah.
Pick a lane. Anytime there was like a one-liner, I was like, well, that would have been funny. All right. And I don't think that's at fault to the actors, because I think the script is actually solid.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
But if you look at moments where, like, Darcy Lewis goes up to Thor and she's just like, oh, hey, you're still muscly. It wasn't funny, even though it easily could have been. When, what's his name? Fucking Stellar Skateboard.
Yeah.
Eric Selvig.
Eric, yeah.
When he's working on stuff and he's not wearing pants, and everyone's like, oh, he just thinks better when his pants are off. They just blow past it, and then they're going to leave. And he's like, I better put pants on. Very comedic moment. Not done well within the cinematography.
And I think the only part I chuckled at in the whole movie, and it was so subtle, was just Chris Hemsworth just hanging Mjolnir on the coat rack.
Yes.
When he walked in the apartment. Because it was just done so well, and it was just totally offhand to add the whole situation, and it was just like, I'm just gonna hang this here. Like, you know?
That was. Yeah. I think that's the funniest part in the movie, and I think they were really trying to make Thor this, like, funny character, or at least bring a lot of comedy into it, like Joss Whedon did with Avengers.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming this is being filmed at the same time as Iron Man 3.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Everything just fell flat. And I want it to be so much darker so that those moments can come through, because the Dark Elves are dark creatures. They live in darkness.
Yeah.
Let's bring that forth. So I think my biggest issue with this movie is the direction.
Yeah. No, I get that. And me saying that I wanted this movie more grounded kind of backtracks on what I said, that I liked this movie more than I did Iron Man 3. But the one thing that Iron Man 3 did better than this film, 100% for me, was it made it more grounded. We went from Avengers to Tony doesn't have his armor. That is the perfect type that you want to do for a movie where you want to draw back.
Yeah.
Okay, what if he doesn't have all this shit? At no point does Thor, like, does anybody have the upper hand on Thor really in this movie?
Thor does not have growth in this movie.
No, none at all.
Thor walks into this level-headed. I mean, yes, he brings Jane Foster to Asgard, which a mortal should not be there, but it made sense for him to, because that's what heroes do.
Yeah.
And when he makes the decision to decide to go after them to release that from Jane Foster, he's on that track. He's at a one level the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't any growth there. Iron Man 3 was a much better spectacle.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that in parts of it. I think one of the other big things that just doesn't sell it for me is the relationship between Jane Foster and Thor. I don't feel like they have enough between them, except for these couple days they spent together in the first movie. And then she's been infatuated. I get it. She met a god. That'd be probably life
Yeah.
changing. But for him as a person, she only spent a few days with him 2 years ago and now has been completely obsessed. So for her to leave him, like we find out later on and they're not together, whatever, that makes more sense to me. For her to finally be like, why am I obsessing about this one dude who lives on literally another fucking planet in a different realm? Like, that makes more sense to me. And that's why I'm excited for Love and Thunder, because I feel like we're going to finally get the Jane Foster, like Thor relationship that we've wanted to see for a long time.
I mean,
Like,
so
I hope.
I have different feelings on it because I went through different realms of how I felt about their relationship. And when it comes to, she met a fucking god. I have
Yeah.
met people for a single night working in the bar industry that I have never seen again. I thought about them for a long time because you
Yeah.
click with someone, and they also weren't gods. I'm a hopeless romantic deep at heart. All right.
Yeah, I get you.
I mean, a god, but then you also look at, there's one moment in this movie that I think solidifies like Thor's feelings, and it's when he's sitting in the room and they're all celebrating and like relishing in their victory, and Volstagg throws his mug and he says, "Another!"
Yeah.
And Thor looks at his, and it's this humanizing moment where he's just like, and he sets it down because he's learned of a different civilization.
Yeah, and I believe them. I believe that they have these feelings. I believe them both as characters. I just don't understand why. I want more story. I want to, as an audience, when you watch a relationship in a movie, it's a three-way relationship every time.
True,
It's
true.
those two people, and then it's you falling in love with those two people
True.
together.
100%.
And
I'll 100% agree with that.
I believe that they love each other. I'm just not falling in love with them falling in love with each other. That makes sense.
That is a 100% valid argument. Like, yeah, no, I don't even have a rebuttal for that. Like, that is very true. Like,
okay,
you got to fall for him, and there really wasn't a lot there to fall for. Even when she was in Asgard, like, I understood her emotions the entire time. She is the first mortal in this world.
Yeah.
That's just baffled. It's blowing her mind. She is just excited. There were certain lines where I was like a little cringy at, to like, "You told your dad about me?" I was like, okay.
Yeah, I know.
Chill.
I know.
Like, that was okay. You didn't need to say that. But I did really like when she was like talking to him about the science stuff that they were doing. And she was like, "Is that what it's doing?" And then she like looks over at Thor and she's like, "It's this." I know.
Yeah.
I really like that moment, but also like I enjoyed her there because of how excited she was. Because I'd be a fucking kid in a candy store too. Like,
yeah, it would be fucking mind blowing. But then also she's very, very, very intelligent. So she's analyzing everything as a scientist at the exact same time, because, you know, some people want to call certain things magic. We used to call science magic many years ago. And then we're like, no, it's just science. So to kind of see her in that moment kind of analyze something that they're calling magic, and she's like, no, there's a scientific reason behind everything, you know, which I appreciate that. But let's get more moments of that. Like, let's really flex how intelligent Jane Foster is. Like,
yeah, and I don't know where else they would have, because this movie was probably too long as it is.
I feel like there's large chunks of the movie that could have been cut out, and then we could have put more other stuff in it. Like, there's so many good elements and good things that I like in it, and then there's so many things that I'm like, why am I fucking watching this?
Well, and that's why I think it was trying so hard to be funny. And so it had these long bits that never landed. And it was like, cool. What do you think the budget was for this movie? Just coming off of Iron Man 3, which was $200 million.
I was 190 million.
150, which I was very surprised about. I really thought it was going to be higher than that. I thought it was going to be...
Yeah. Just the CGI alone, how much shit they have to put into just
almost everything is CGI in this movie, unless they're on Earth, which also has a lot of CGI involved.
When the ship crashes into Odin's throne room,
Yeah.
why doesn't it open up the vaulted ceiling to show the mural that we know of later on?
It didn't go that far into the room.
It went pretty far. I mean, every pillar fell.
There were still other pillars because when they pick it up again and turn it around, it still broke other pillars.
It's just funny to me that, like, when Odin, I assume, gets all the renovations done to the throne room, he isn't like, hey, so can we go ahead and just remove that fucking mural that I left up there of my estranged daughter?
Yeah.
Like, why did he just remove that?
I mean, how long ago was that mural painted?
Oh, fucking, it's
4,000 years ago?
At least, I mean, Thor's, I think he says he's 1,500 years old, so, and Hela was before Thor, so.
I couldn't even tell you what I had for breakfast yesterday, so.
Yeah, I guess his mind goes after a while, too, you know? That's a long time to remember some shit. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure that he's not even really a part of the renovations because he just lost his wife.
Yeah, that's true.
Of 250,000, like, or not 250, but like 200,000, like, not fucking A, god damn it, 2,000, 4,000 years?
Yeah, because I think Odin's like 5,000 years old or something like that.
Yeah, so he is probably in rough shape, and he still is until we get into the next movie that he's in.
Yeah. Anthony Hopkins, killing it, dude, as always.
Every time. And
he was just really bringing it and making me hate him, but in the best way. I was just like, oh, you're such a fucking bastard. But like in a good way. I was just like, he's a very worn, torn king that is ruled with an iron fist in the best way. I don't want to say in like a dictator type of way, but He is like, at the end of the day, I'm going to make the best decisions, what he feels are the best decisions for Asgard. And he'll, he's not afraid to tell somebody to fuck off if they go against him.
No.
Like, yeah, I loved it.
I think, all right, so before we get into the post-credit scenes, there's one last scene that I want to talk about.
Okay.
And that is after Thor decides, I am going to commit treason. I'm going to talk to Heimdall. Heimdall's like, I got to talk to him anyway. So they decide to go through this, and it's this whole planning thing that's just happening. And I'm like, is this still happening? I'm like, okay, I get it. It's a lot to plan. And then Heimdall's like, I got to tell you about treason. Bro, it's me.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. And then they break out Loki, who I really liked the scene where Loki reveals the room. And he's just disheveled. I thought that was really cool. Then they fly, and then they eventually meet up with Malekith and Kids of the Corn. And Loki turns on him, but it's like this whole surprise thing.
Yeah.
I did really like that scene, and I did really like the first time I watched it. I believed like, oh fuck, oh why did you trust this man?
You cut off Thor's hand. Holy shit! Like
yeah. Like I really liked that scene, and when it like came back that it was all an illusion. After like watching it again, I was like, you're a fucking idiot, dude. You should have known that coming into it.
Yeah,
but I did really enjoy that.
Quick little rewind to when he's explaining it to Heimdall, and Heimdall's like, I will never betray my king. And then he explains it to him for another 10 seconds, and he's just like, I'm in. What do you need? He just instantly goes from like, I'll never betray him to whatever you need, Thor. Like,
and at that point, they're just like sitting at a table, and he's just like, well, okay, well, no, I 100% agree. Because I thought the conversation started when Heimdall was at the Bifrost, but no, that's wrong. It happens when Heimdall sits at the table and he's like, I'm useless. So like, yeah, no, never do that. Fuck it, I'm in.
I'm in.
It's kind of that like
he took no like convincing. He was just like, yeah, fuck it.
It's that moment just did like Rick and Morty, and he's just like, you son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah.
So this one had two post-credit scenes, all right, which the first one's really exciting and we'll end with that one, but I want to talk about the post-credit scene because it was probably the second moment that I laughed at. And that is at the very end of the credits. Did you watch that part?
I didn't watch it this time. No, what was it?
Okay, so at the very, very end, after all of the credits, after the first post-credit scene, there's a wide shot of the area where Jane Foster first found the anomaly.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you see these birds flying. And that ice monster that got in through that just is running after the birds.
I totally have never seen that. That's so funny.
You have to go watch it directly after this.
I do.
Because that was the second moment that I actually laughed. And I was like, ha, all right, that's fun.
That's good. I mean, it's a good little payoff to like, I mean, all that shit's happening and you're just like, I feel like this is going to fuck up some shit way worse than it should.
And then you're like, yes, it did, which I would like to know what happened to that monster, who found it, but that's a whole nother thing.
I want to know how those people are going to explain to their insurance, like where their car went. Yeah, no, it fell through a portal and it's on another planet, I guess. I don't know.
You can go fuck yourself, buy a new car. All right. Now you owe us money because that was a lease. Thank you. But the first post-credit scene, which was probably one of the most exciting parts of the movie.
Yeah.
All right. And I know you know much more about comic books and the lore and everything, so I will let you explain that post-credit scene.
Yes. So we come in on Benicio del Toro's character. He plays the Collector. So we will see him very soon, in just a couple weeks. And then we'll see him a couple weeks after that. So the Collector basically is this guy who lives on it's a Titan's head that is floating in space called Nowhere. And the Collector is Lady Sif and one of the other four. I can't remember which one.
It is Volstagg.
Yeah, Volstagg. So Lady Sif and Volstagg are giving the ether to the Collector to hold on to, unbeknownst to them that there is also another Infinity Stone already in his midst.
It's currently not there. He even says
Will
be
in his midst very soon.
Yes.
Which I watched Infinity War directly after watching this last night, and the scene with the Collector, Star-Lord says to Thor, "You left it with the Collector? Whose stupid idea was that?" And Thor goes, "It was actually my brilliant idea." So that was a cool little payoff. But that was like our first. This is our first like real big introduction to everything that is going to be very pertinent once we get to the end of phase 3. Like that is our first like really peek into the universe as a whole. We also get a cool little cameo in the background. There's a little cocoon in the back, which is a nod to Adam Warlock.
Cool.
Which they've kind of reversed that. That cocoon is not going to be Adam Warlock. There's another one, and it's introduced in another movie way later on. And I will get into, once we get to Guardians 2, my theories with the Adam Warlock thing, because I am so fucking excited for Adam Warlock to be introduced to the MCU, because he is one of the dopest fucking characters. And I think he's going to be either the next big bad or the next big good, because Adam Warlock kind of falls on both sides. So I'm very, very excited to that. So they gave a little like wink to Adam Warlock in the background. And that's always the fun thing. Anytime you see the Collector's room, there's so many things to Howard the Duck.
The Duck. That's one of the most fun ones.
Yeah, there's so many cool little Easter eggs hidden. Like literally, he is the collector of all these cool things. So, that really sets up events for other movies, and then in the bigger scheme of things. So, That was me freaking out in the theater watching this, and everybody around me being like, "Who the fuck's that guy?" And I'm like, "That's the Collector." And everybody's like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, nerd."
Oh,
Like,
cool, Jeff. Great. Get the fuck
Yeah.
out of here.
whatever. Yeah, I'm like, "No, you guys don't understand."
This was, I think, one of my favorite post credit scenes
Yeah.
so far, and I think one of the biggest announcements in a post credit scene. I mean, besides like Nick Fury and I think Iron Man 1, there were a lot of cool ones, but this one was just like, oh, what are we getting into? What are we getting into?
Yep. What is this? What is this setting up? Real quick, I do want to bring up. So the ether is the reality stone.
Correct.
Why doesn't it work like the reality stone works, though, in this movie? It's just a power. Like, I don't know if maybe the Dark Elves or like Malekith doesn't understand its abilities. So he just uses it as like to be very powerful instead of actually like the way that Thanos uses it later to actually change reality around him and make you see things and make things change into things.
But Malekith is using it to alter reality. He is altering the reality of all 9 realms to bring only darkness to all of it. To bring
only darkness. But if it's not factual. Yeah, you're right. I guess I didn't think about it that way. But that's, you know what? And we didn't touch on this the whole time. This is one of the lamest fucking villains in the whole MCU so far.
But his hair is fucking sick, though.
His hair is super sick. His motivation's just kind of like, okay. And he doesn't have any cool lines. I don't believe his drive or understand his want of it, except for that he sees Asgard as this, all-knowing, all-powerful bullshit place that it kind of is.
Yeah.
Like, he's not wrong. But I just didn't believe him or really care. Like, I was just like, all right, dude, cool. You want to turn everything into darkness and rule the 9 realms because you were beaten thousands of years ago.
Well, and it was believed that his civilization was buried. Like,
yeah. Well, don't go to fucking war. Don't be a dick, and you won't get your ass whooped.
I mean, I have no rebuttal for that because I'm no warrior. I'm just a dude who slings strings. All right. I'm just here hanging out, talking about nerdy shit. So I have no idea.
Fair enough.
Jeff.
Yeah.
What would your rating be from 0 to 6 stones?
Though I like this movie more than I thought I was going to like it, I'm basing this on as a movie structure. Okay. Acting, okay, but that really isn't a reflection on the movie. Those actors and the characters have already been established. Introduction of new characters didn't really bring anything to it. So, and its overall importance to the whole MCU. I'm gonna have to give it a 2.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
After rewatching it and really studying it and studying beats and how everything just kind of happened and there wasn't really any growth or payoff ever, I'm giving this a 1. And that's a harsh 1 for me because this, after rewatching it, this movie could have been a huge victory.
Yeah.
I really think that if they would have just went forward with like, we're going to be funny, we're going to be dark, even if they just would have be like, we're going to be dark with this script.
Yeah.
This movie would have been killer. But they didn't. They were trying to appease to too wide of an audience, in my opinion. I'm also just a dude who slings drinks, so whatever.
They could have done a genre movie, and they did it.
You're absolutely right.
Yep.
And like it would have been such a new thing within the MCU, although this was very young, which we're about to get our next opportunity
Yep.
with this kind of dark idea. I'm trying not to get my hopes up because I know they have stated different publicly. But we'll see.
We'll see. We got 2.
2 coming up?
Blade. Blade's got to be
Oh,
dark.
Blade's got like that's not even a question for me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that
you can't
Mahershala Ali. I'm
Dude.
sorry. That casting. Oh.
you cannot
the
do
whole time.
oh, you can't do Blade without being dark. Like
Yeah.
the whole idea of Blade is a fuck ton of blood.
So we
So
we
much
both
blood.
agree when we've run out of movies until the next one, we're definitely doing.
We'll go
Blade
through
next.
the Blade trilogy and we will have to
Yes.
go through all 3 of them.
I'm so stoked too, though.
Yeah, I am.
I feel like some things aren't gonna hold up, but God, I fucking love those movies.
Dude,
either way.
I have 3 movie TVs at work. I played Blade 1, 2, and 3 on all of them at the same time. And it was such a dope day. And the Blade, like the blood rave happened, and I just was like, well, I guess it's time to listen to Sandstorm. Jeff, do you want to announce next week's movie?
Yes. So as I stated before, they decided not to do a genre movie, but our next movie is 100% a genre movie. I'm not even gonna leave it for as a tease for next week. This is 100% my favorite Marvel movie ever made, and that is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Yeah, buddy.
All right. Jeff, how do people get a hold of you?
You can find me at The Real Jeff Wellman on Instagram. I also have a podcast with our brother Lance, another member of the Blanket Fort, called Have You Played? New episodes will be up very soon. We already have a couple recorded. And then you can find me here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Blanket Fort Chronicle Twitch. So, yeah.
Dope. If you're looking for me, just find me on Instagram. I'm at Colin Ferguson. There's links to all my stuff in there. I'm also on a new podcast called Mise Plastered, which is a hospitality podcast. Me and an old friend of mine who is a cook just talk about restaurant stuff. And I'm pretty excited that I've joined. We have 1 episode up now. We recorded our next one on Sunday. New episodes will be coming out on Mondays. So that's on everywhere you can listen to podcasts. And yeah, I don't know. Just send me a message on Instagram or click the link. I'll say hi. I'm a pretty friendly guy. Or if you happen to be in New York, just come to Chinatown and just look for a long-haired dude with a mustache. And I'm probably the only person. Come at me, bro.
Come to Chinatown.
You'll find my friend Jack Burton, who drives a truck. All right.
Fuck yes.
On that note, Jeff, I would hop on some Apex, but man, I am beat. But this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You'll find Ryan, who's Jack Burton. Ryan's Jack Burton.
Ryan's Jack Burton?
He's
What?
probably not. But I would like to have that argument. I would like to find out about it. Or you're quoting him, because that's also a line that he says in the movie. So, all right. On that note, but Jeff, I will talk to you in a little while. Love you, dude.
Love you too.
All right. Later, man.